36 years ago, Voyager 1 was launched to tour the outer planets in our solar system. Today, NASA says it has finally crossed a new frontier, becoming the first spacecraft ever to leave the solar system. The first anything to leave the solar system. For more on this breakthrough, let's turn to Bob McDonald. He is the host of CBC's Quirks and Quarks. You were at the launch of Voyager 1 back in 1977?
That's right, Rajbi, back before I started dyeing my hair gray. In fact, it was on my shoulders at that time. I got on my motorcycle and drove from Toronto to Cape Canaveral to watch Voyager take off because I knew that this was a starship. It was going to leave our solar system and go out among the stars, something that was a very rare occasion. So, yeah, it's been a big part of my life for 36 years.
And go back to that moment. Did you think you'd live to see the day that it actually went into this new frontier?
Well, I wasn't that old at the time. I was very young, okay, yes. But what was amazing about it is that there were two Voyagers, they were twins, and they were on a true voyage of discovery to go out and explore the largest planets in our solar system. So after I saw the launch, every couple of years I'd make another pilgrimage to California to the Jet Propulsion Laboratory where they control these robots and where all the pictures come in. And so I went there and we went by Jupiter. And then we went by Saturn. And then Voyager 2 continued on to Uranus and Neptune. And we were seeing things that had never been seen before. Not only those big planets, but their moons. The Voyagers discovered more than 50 moons that we didn't even know existed. And they were really bizarre worlds, worlds made of ice, worlds with weird volcanoes on them, black lakes, other lakes made of liquid methane, truly alien worlds. So it was really quite a journey for 12 years as we went across the solar system on a real voyage of discovery. So now it's kind of neat at the end that we're getting into interstellar space, a space that we'd never been before.
Right.
Again.
Yeah, and what does that really mean, Bob?
Well, we live within a bubble. The Earth and all the planets in our solar system are within a bubble that's created by the sun. And this bubble is a magnetic bubble, and it's got particles in it that the sun's blowing out. And outside that bubble is interstellar space. It's the space between the stars, what the Milky Way galaxy is really like. And we can look out of our bubble with our telescopes and sort of guess what it's like, but this is the first time that we're actually going to sample that space. It's sort of like leaving the city and getting out into the countryside to see what the rest of Canada is like. And you can theorize of what things are like, but until we actually sample it, we'll do that. So these two Voyager spacecraft are going to do it. Voyager 1 is doing it now. Voyager 2 will take a couple of years to get out, but we'll have pierced this bubble in two different directions and really sample very primitive space.
But how do they know that it's left the solar system?
Well, this was actually a big problem. Voyager 1 actually did it last year, a year ago, August, and they had to debate about whether or not it actually went out because most of its instruments have actually died. I mean, the thing's pretty old. It wasn't designed to run this long. And so they had to say, well, what's it really like out there? And since we'd never been there before, they had to debate whether or not it had actually left the influence of the sun. But now they're convinced that it really has, and we can start to explore it. And interstellar space is where we came from. That's where the solar system was born. And it's a place where we can start to study the influence of the other stars and dead stars and a completely new medium. So it's quite exciting for the scientists. Voyager has sort of been reborn once again.
Wait, and Voyager 1 wasn't built to last this long? How long was it supposed to last for?
Well, they were designed to only go to Jupiter and Saturn, but the scientists did a very clever thing. When they're building these robots, they always build them to go further, and even though they don't have the money at the beginning to go as far as they did, once the thing does its primary thing, like after it left Saturn, they said, hey, you know, it's still running, it's still working well, can we keep it going? And then they get extra money to keep the thing funded. So that's how they manage to keep it going. And even after it dies, they do expect it to keep running until about 2025. But even after then, its mission will continue because it carries a message to aliens.
Really?
Yeah, there's a record attached to the sides of these Voyagers. Now remember, they were built in the 70s. They didn't have CDs back then or iPods, but it's an actual gold record that's attached to the side of these things, complete with a needle and instructions on how to play it. And it has an hour and a half of music on it from the Earth, ranging from ancient Chinese gong music and Indonesian music right up to Chuck Berry doing Johnny Be Good. And it has 116 photographs, digital photographs encoded on it of people doing things. things, farmers and swimmers and pictures of the Earth and our DNA and all of that as a message to anyone who finds this thing in the future. Because Voyager could last up to 50 million years in space. That's how long it'll remain intact. So long after civilization is gone, we may not even be here. Humanity could totally disappear, and those Voyagers will still be out there. So it's kind of neat to know that a little bit of us is continuing on as a postcard to anyone who finds it to say, hey, we were the people on a little planet who sent a message to the stars. I think it's kind of elegant.
Oh, it is very neat. Bob, you're always my favorite part of the day. Thank you so much.
Okay, Rashmi, it was a pleasure.
Bob McDonald, host of CBC's Quirks and Quarks.